friend. Welcome to the podcast. I am Melissa Mathieson, and today is Wednesday. Now, you know, we usually talk about the camels coming on Wednesdays, inspired by a story in the Bible in Genesis 24, where Isaac meets his wife Rebecca when she rides over the hill on a camel. But it's also Thanksgiving week. Since we are spending that time together as a family, it just seemed like a good idea to have my husband Dave join me again and tell you guys a little bit more about how we met, dated, and married. And who better to ask us a few questions than our daughter, Molly. Molly was only 13 years old when Dave and I married, so after Molly asks us a little bit about how we met, we spend a little time talking with Molly about what it was like when Mom started dating and Dave moved in after we married. We're having a little family time, so grab your coffee and join us at the table. We're talking about dating a single parent, how the 4 M's became 5, and dance recital flowers. Today on What's Next, God? So we're going to talk a little bit about how we met, dated, and married, since it's Wednesday and the camels are coming.
And we're going to have a unique perspective.
So we've asked Molly to talk to us and ask us questions. It's Thanksgiving week, and we are here with family, and we thought it might be a fun time to tell people a little bit more about our story.
Okay.
And then have Molly ask us questions.
Yay!
Hey, Molly.
Hey, Mom.
Thanks for doing this.
Yeah, I'm excited.
All right, so for the first part, Molly is going to ask us questions about how we met and dated and married. And then towards the end...
she's probably going to offer some commentary along the way.
Maybe.
Yeah, I will.
And then at the end, we're going to ask Molly what she thought about Dave and I meeting, dating, and getting married in her perspective.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
You got questions for us?
Yes, I do. Question number 1. You got to start with this one. How did you meet?
We met through a mutual friend on Facebook. That's the short answer.
So Blake, our friend, Blake Perez. Shout out to Blake. Blake, we owe you one.
Good old Blake.
Thanks, Blake. You remember Blake, don't you?
I do.
He lived in the same apartment complex with us. Blake was a student at the Ramp School of Ministry, and
he came to me with his best junior high school look in his eye and said, "There's a girl I think you should meet, man." And I was like, okay, sure.
so that's how we met, was Blake.
Okay. So from there, you met through Blake. How did that connection with you two first start?
Dave sent me a message on Facebook.
Oh, really, Dave?
Yeah.
Facebook.
Oh, is that not what you kids are doing these days?
I mean, that's what the kids are doing these days. That's the problem.
Well, then we're
So we are a good lesson to our daughter what not to do.
so I can be 20th and 21st century at the same time.
Straight up.
Yeah, so Blake said, sent me a text message because he was home for Christmas in Pensacola. Dave lived in Pensacola, and I lived in Hamilton, Alabama. And Blake said, "Hey, there's a guy at my church in Florida I think you should meet." And I said, "No, thanks." And he said, "Oh, oops, too bad. I gave him your name, and he's going to look you up on Facebook."
Ouch.
And he did. He messaged me that night. And that's how we met.
Okay, so where did it go from? Obviously, you're together now. So where did it go from there?
Straight up, like a rocket.
Well, for you.
Like was there?
It took me a minute.
Yeah. So obviously you met in person. How did that? Well, first off, Dave, what did you say? First of all, I'm more concerned about that. What did you, how did you approach that?
The first date?
No, the first
No.
message.
I just said, "Hey, our mutual friend Blake has said good things about you, and I wanted to say hello."
And Melissa?
I said, "Oh, yeah, Blake's a good friend of mine."
I know. I think you said, and you were probably trying to get out of it all already because you said something along the lines of, "Oh, good, I hope," or
Something like that.
yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, "Oh, great. There's this guy messaging me on Facebook." So I was being polite because I'm a polite person and I'm kind. I would respond or reply to anybody, but I was trying not to be too encouraging. So I did not encourage. I was
girl.
just polite.
Stand your ground.
That's right.
But frankly, tip to the girls out there, a lot of guys find simply talking to him to be plenty encouraging.
See, that's good to know because. So what? So what should a girl?
I wasn't going to tell you that then.
Okay, so wait. So what should a girl say then? Should she just not talk to him?
No. Frankly, it's actually the guy's problem. I mean, I'm warning the girls, but really, it's the guys who need to understand and handle themselves in a way that is respectful and responsive. But even as the man initiates, she needs to be free to respond, and he needs to let her.
So if she likes him, she has to tell him she likes him. But if she doesn't like him, she needs to tell him she doesn't like him.
Gosh, that would be so easy.
It doesn't work that way.
No, it doesn't
Okay,
work
this
that
is
way.
not dating advice. This is how did Melissa and Dave meet.
Okay, all right.
Let's get back to that.
Next question.
Okay, so obviously you ended up going on a date.
We did in March. March 1st.
Okay, but when did you meet exactly?
March 1st.
That was it.
Or like when was your when did he
December
message you?
15th.
Okay, so there was some interaction between December and
Yes.
March.
2.5 months. We talked via text, a couple of phone calls, just hey, how are you kind of thing.
No late nighters, right?
No. I was sleeping. I go to bed.
Melissa.
Nope.
Look, you keep tabs on me. I keep tabs on you.
That's right. And so, no, I did not. There were a few times because of events or something where we did have to talk kind of late, or like if you were in another country
We
doing
FaceTimed
work.
while I was in Colombia.
We tried to FaceTime when you were in Colombia, and the connection was so bad,
Yeah.
we didn't really get to talk. So our first date in Birmingham on March 1st was really the first time I'd really seen him. I'd seen pictures of him online, and I had talked to him on the phone and texting, but that was like our first official date in Birmingham.
So first date went well. Hopefully, yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Well, you never know. Sometimes, like, my first date was a little rocky. Everyone has those first dates that can be sometimes tough.
Okay, mine was a little tough for
Okay.
me, not for Dave.
Explain.
I think Dave, I'll let you speak for yourself, but I think you seem to say it was a great date and you were excited about date 2.
Yes. Very much.
I was a little nervous because he really was not what I was expecting, not really what I was interested in. And he was very nice, very polite, very kind. He held the door open, all the doors, the car doors, the restaurant doors.
He still does.
He does. He still does. That's one of my favorite things about him.
Yeah.
He was very nice. He was polite. He paid for everything. He helped me over curbs and climbing steps, and just such a gentleman. And he was so nice, and I wanted to like him so bad. But I was just thinking, it's like, I just don't know that there's anything there.
It's always the nice guys.
I know. But I was walking around. We were walking around near the Cheesecake Factory in Birmingham, and we were getting ready to go eat some dessert. And I remember talking to the Holy Spirit, and I said, well, I'm not real sure what to do because I think this guy really likes me and he's really nice and I don't want to hurt his feelings and I'm not really sure what to do. And I didn't know if I needed to tell him that night I wasn't really interested in dating
Or just change your phone number.
or just change my phone number. But I felt like the Lord said, just wait. And I was like, oh, that means I'm probably going to marry this guy one day, isn't it?
It's always in the waiting.
So I finished out the evening and we did a date number 2. And then slowly over time, I was like, he's a good man.
Okay, so on that topic, when did you know that you were, I don't want to say like, when did you know that he was the one, but like, when did you know you were ready?
Well, for us, it was a little bit different than probably a lot of people because we're a little bit older. I was 39 when we were dating. How old were you?
48.
48. We both had kids. We were both divorced. We'd both been single for a long time, and we were healthy emotionally, healthy spiritually, and we were in a really good place so that when we met and we started getting to know each other, we didn't have to go through and sort through a lot of the baggage or some of the brokenness that some of the insecurity that comes up when people start dating. So things probably went a little bit quicker for us than, let's just say, if you're 22,
I think that combined very well with the distance, because even though it sounds odd to say that I proposed to you on our 7th date, well, that was over a long period of time. It was 3 months. We had weekend dates.
Right.
I came to visit you. You came to visit me. And we spent larger periods of time together.
Right.
Yeah, and like when you're this age too, you don't just date to date like people do now.
Right. We weren't dating to date. We knew we were dating because we were in a place where we were ready to be married. And the thing about it is you get to choose the person that you want to marry. And so I was choosing him and he was choosing me. And we just made a choice to choose each other.
Real dating advice there. And I've said it on several occasions. Christians don't date well, largely based on things like, oh, well, you're going to meet the one. And your big problem with that is if you think that God has chosen your mate for you, you're going to make a rash, uninformed decision on what you think the Lord is saying to you. And then when you discover that person is really a human being, you're going to blame him and you're not going to take responsibility.
Yeah.
Whereas Mom and I realize I don't say that on our podcast, but that's how Melissa and I both understood that God allows you to make the choice because he wants you to understand that with your spouse and with every choice that you make, you've got to live with that. Mm-hmm. And you need to own that. And that really, to me, is the very rock bottom of Christian living.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's good advice. I like that. Okay, well, take a step back for Mom. Rewind a little bit. So, obviously, you had boyfriends in the past. We know this, and we'll talk more about this when you ask me questions. I see us sailing into waters that I've never seen before. I was just curious, what did that look like for you telling us, like, hey, I have a boyfriend and it's getting kind of serious? Well, okay, first of all, do people your age use the term boyfriend?
That's a great question. Yes, I think when you're dating, but I don't think I ever really just said boyfriend.
Yeah, that just feels like I don't even like that term.
I think I just said this is my friend Dave, but people understood that we were dating.
Some people would find that offensive.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
Like, this is my friend, and then they kind of give you that side eye.
Oh.
Excuse me.
Well, okay, so
She's not going to go around saying, my man.
Here's the thing about that term boyfriend, though, that probably some people use it because they need to find identity in it. Mm-hmm. And it makes them feel better about the relationship because they are defining it by going, this is my boyfriend and this is my girlfriend. But we didn't need that because we understood he didn't need to be identified in that way. Mm-hmm. He knew he was.
Yeah.
And I didn't need to be identified because we were dating exclusively.
Yeah.
And we knew that we didn't need to use that term. He was just my friend Dave.
Gotcha.
But I didn't talk about him on social media.
Oh, yes. I remember.
We kept it very private because
your first post was that you were engaged. And
that was the first
people
post.
Actually, had a heart attack.
The first post was the night before our first date. And I said, hey guys, I've got a real life dinner and a movie date tomorrow night.
Did you post it with a selfie?
No, I didn't
Those
post a
bathroom
selfie.
selfies.
I didn't think I did. I think I just posted on Twitter and maybe Facebook about.
Probably a good thing for me they didn't have polls. You couldn't take a poll on Facebook
Oh
in those
gosh,
days.
no.
So I just kind of posted like, hey, because I never talked about dating before publicly. So I thought, well, I'm just going to do something different. And I just posted randomly that I had a date. And that was all I said, that I had a date. And maybe I would tell people about it one day. Or maybe I said I'll blog about it or something. So that was the first time. Then the second time I posted was to announce our engagement. But being a mom, a single mom.
Yeah, like that was my question. What did that look like telling your kids, first of all?
Well, to keep things private.
Or when, rather, just so you know, like we were young.
You were. How old were you?
I
Do you remember?
was 13. I was 13.
You were 13.
Yeah.
Max was 11.
Maya
was 9.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we were young. And I mean, we've never met any of your previous boyfriends or friends, as you call them. So how did you feel whenever we met Dave for the first time?
Well, I would never have let Dave meet you until I knew that this was going to be something. That's why you never met any of the others, because they weren't ever going to be something like this. So because I knew that this was going to be the one, I wanted you guys to meet him and get to know him. I didn't necessarily, this might be different than some people, but I didn't necessarily need your approval. Yours and Max's.
You weren't asking for it.
I wasn't asking for it because I had made the decision and I knew that you guys would be okay with the decision that I made because I knew that you guys knew I would only make decisions that were going to be good for our family. And so I didn't necessarily have you guys meet him because I needed to see if y'all liked him. I just wanted you guys to start meeting each other and getting used to kind of seeing each other and help you guys get used to the idea that, oh, hey, after your whole life of having a single mom, there's going to be somebody else that is going to come live with us when we get married.
Yeah.
So introducing them to you guys was a big deal. And that's why he's the only person you guys ever met.
Yeah. Thanks for that.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah. Okay. A few more questions.
Okay.
Then we'll transition. So we already established that at your age, when you know it's serious, or when you know you're dating, it's serious. So you didn't need this long, drawn out engagement. So
No.
please tell the people, Melissa and Dave, how long were you engaged for?
So you proposed to me on my birthday,
June 6th.
June 6th.
Did you know that, Dave? Because I knew that.
My birthday? Were you there when you proposed, Dave?
I was.
I wasn't. I was at my grandmother's house.
Yes, you were. Because it was my birthday.
Okay, I'm your daughter. I should still celebrate it
Well,
with you.
and Dave was coming to town. And I actually kind of knew he was going to propose. I just knew it.
Shh, what?
I knew it. I knew
Secrets
it
are
like
coming out.
deep down in my knower.
Girls
that-
just know.
I just knew. And I even told everybody at the office, all my girlfriends, I was like, I think he's going to propose to me this weekend.
Were you nervous?
I was. They said, what are you going to say? And I said, I don't know. That's really what I said.
Oh,
But I knew I was
Wow.
going to say yes.
When
But
I
was
asked
nervous.
her, it took a couple of minutes.
right.
You didn't actually ever ask me. You just put a ring in my hand.
Oh,
No.
wait, please explain this. my whole childhood is being confused now.
We went to dinner for my birthday in Tupelo, had dinner, came back to Hamilton, got to Hamilton super late. And we went into the kitchen of the apartment and we started slow dancing. And you...
To what song?
Oh, golly. I don't remember.
Do you remember? I don't know.
Wasn't that Ed Sheeran song that you guys break out into dance to in the living room every time it comes on?
No, I don't think it was that one, but that's a good one.
Yeah.
I had a playlist, I think.
Yeah, you had some playlist on your iPad, and you set up your iPad on the table and started playing a song. And I was like, oh
A
no,
romantic gesture.
I think he's about to propose. And you got so nervous, and you just put a ring in my hand and kept dancing.
He's like, yeah.
He's
bye.
like,
I don't remember it that way.
how do you remember it?
I think I whispered in your ear and I asked you if you would marry me.
Oh, did
Why
you?
did you have to whisper it? That just made me feel so weird.
Because I was an inch away from her ear and I wasn't going to shout.
Marry me?
But obviously I didn't hear him. Maybe he should have said it a little louder.
He said, hey, how you doing, Melissa?
Okay, so he proposed on my birthday, June 6th, and then we got married August 9th.
August 9th.
So 98 days from our first date, we got engaged. And then 98.
98 days from your first date.
So March 1st to June 6th
Wow.
is 98 days. So total March 1st, and then we were married August 9th.
150 days, rough numbers.
Yep. And ask us where we went on our honeymoon.
Oh, where did you go on your honeymoon?
We took
I wasn't invited to.
Yeah, sorry.
And started high school that week. It's fine. I'm okay. I'm healed. I'm not scarred or anything, but like you missed my first day of high school. My aunt had to drive me to school.
But I got you a dad.
Okay, that makes it important.
Look what I brought you from Cancun, honey. A dad.
Yeah, so it was, you guys did start school that week right after we got married. And we took a cruise. We went out of New Orleans and we were gone 8 or 9 days. Did a cruise all over the place and it was amazing.
Do you recommend a cruise as a honeymoon?
Yes. So if you are honeymooning, I recommend a cruise. Hands down, best thing we ever did.
Yeah, but like there's a lot of people. It's crowded. Like we went on a cruise. It was
ships-
just crowded.
Yeah, you can be standing shoulder to shoulder with somebody, but they really don't care if you ignore them completely because they're ignoring you completely.
Yeah, but the cruise ship is so big, so you can go to shows when you want. You can go eat when you want. We did fancy dinners every night where you could get dressed up.
Yeah.
And then when you're in ports, you can go scuba diving and go lay on the beach and see all these countries. It was really great.
Hey,
we
you want
loved
to
it.
take a cruise?
We love cruises, don't we?
Yeah, but I like want to go on one now. You reminded me of how great they are.
Yeah, we've had some great family cruises, haven't we?
We have.
So we came back from our honeymoon. Dave had actually moved all of his things in from Pensacola.
All of them.
Do you remember that?
Oh, I can never forget it.
So we're living in a little townhouse, 900 square feet.
Something like that.
Me and 3 kids.
And it was fine for us.
It was fine for us.
And then we got a Dave.
And then Dave backed up a truck. And
They could fit all of the 4 of us belongings.
And he moved in.
You just start to collect things the older you get.
I guess. But we let him move in with all his things.
Right.
We just stacked him up against the wall. I actually had a little panic attack that day. Do you remember?
Yes, I remember because it comes up with some frequency.
All the stuff being unloaded into the house. And I was like, oh my goodness.
What are we going to do?
There's a man moving his things into our apartment. Like, this is for real. Like,
It's happening.
it's happening. Hey, and we ought to tell him about our wedding hashtag.
Oh, gosh.
Do you remember?
4 M's become 5.
Yep. So, Molly, you remember how when we used to go and travel or do things, I always used the hashtag 4Ms.
Because there were 4 of us.
Because there was 4 of us. Melissa, Molly, Max, Maya. We were 4Ms. We just did all the 4M stuff.
Yeah.
4Ms, 4Ms.
We're the M's.
Then we meet Dave. Dave.
You got Melissa, Molly, Max, Maya, Dave.
But Dave's last name was Mathieson. So the 4M's became 5. See, Dave, it's like you were made for us.
Amen.
I mean, because if your name wasn't Mathieson, it may not have worked out.
Oh,
That might have been a deal killer.
Like if your name was like Dave Smith or something, I'd be like, I don't know.
It's like, yeah, could you maybe legally change your last name?
Can we change it to an M so
Like
to work?
Morris.
But see, look at God. He just had it all. To what?
It's just the first thing that popped in my head. I said Morris.
That is an M name.
Mom would have wanted me to be Maurice, I think, probably.
I actually, if I could have chosen my own last name, it would have probably been one that I could spell easier.
Oh.
Or
But
that
I
was
really
a little bit
like the
shorter.
way you do it at the end of your podcast.
You like that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it worked out.
So we're
Full
4
circle.
M's. That's how the 4 M's became 5. It's that Dave is a Mathieson. So what'd you think about our wedding, Molly?
Okay. I'm a type 1 Enneagram, and so is my mom. So the perfectionist in me, when mom told me that she wasn't going to have chairs at her wedding, I had a heart attack because I was like, Melissa, it's a wedding. Why would you make your people stand at a wedding that's probably going to take like 45 minutes? Majority of them are wearing heels and uncomfortable shoes, and some are probably old. Why would you make them stand? And then she was like, what if we did hay bales? And I was like, no, that would be so annoying to sit on. So the control freak in me did.
The 13-year-old
The 13-year-old
control freak
had a little bit of a problem with how my mom wanted to do things. And so I was like, Melissa, I know you're stressed. You're getting married in like 2 weeks and you just got engaged, short engagement life. Let me just do this. Let me take it on and let me just be
you were
your
my
wedding planner.
13-year-old that wanted to plan my wedding.
Yes, and I didn't get to. I didn't get to go dress shopping with you. You went with all your girlfriends, and your number one girl didn't get to go with you. It's okay. You'll
we
get
need
to go
to get
with
a
me, though.
sozo. Molly, I didn't know that this was a big deal.
No, I'm fine. We're not bringing up my past anymore. I promise I'm okay.
We're good.
Yeah, we
I'm
are.
good. You're good. We're all good.
But the wedding, it was
But I let
beautiful.
you and Maya do my music playlist.
We did?
Or was it just Maya?
What exactly did Molly do at this wedding?
You got to pick out a new dress.
Yeah, I did. That was a pretty dress.
It was a pretty dress.
Yeah, I got my hair done.
And all the family came to town.
Oh, that was for everyone to come to town like that. That was pretty
nice.
special.
I thought it was a
beautiful
fun
wedding.
night.
It was.
I have a lot of people tell me that was their favorite wedding they've ever been to.
Really?
It was mine, too.
Was it your
Well, I
favorite?
hope so.
So you had to start high school while we were on our honeymoon. Mm-hmm. How were you when we came back? What was the weirdest thing for you when Dave moved into our house?
Knowing, of course, I was 13 and I was growing out of this anyways, but knowing that I couldn't like run downstairs in a towel
Yeah.
and grab something out of your bathroom and running into him as soon as I'm coming down the steps, probably the scariest moment of my life. Almost like forgetting that he was living there and me wearing a towel and like a towel over my head. It freaked me out.
It changed how we had to do things, didn't it?
Yeah, like I couldn't just speak freely anymore, like to my mom and my sister, because there was another man there.
Why couldn't you speak freely?
About girl stuff?
Well, I didn't really know him that well.
Speak freely about things you were going through.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Just anything. I didn't know him that well, so it did feel awkward because I don't know how to describe it. Kind of felt like I was staying at a friend's house, or like he was a friend staying at our house.
So you had to be like extra manners and
Yes, manners.
Not be
That's
at
what it was.
home and-
Cleanliness and manners, which was hard for me, both of them.
Did you like him?
At first,
Yeah.
no.
You didn't like
I
him?
remember crying. Do you not remember me crying like 2 days before?
2 days before the wedding?
Yeah, in your room. And I was like, I don't want you to do it.
Oh, I don't remember that.
Really? We had Cheez-Its. We ate Cheez-Its on your bed.
And you talked about you didn't want me to get
And I
married
cried because I didn't want you to do it.
because you knew things were about to change.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes, they were. And they did. And it was, I don't remember like our first argument, but we always butted heads, me and Dave.
Yeah, why do you think that is?
I don't know. We just did.
Because there was another person in our life.
Yeah, and I guess like being the oldest was different too, because it was always like, yeah, I'm the big kid. Me and Mom make the decisions in the house. And then Dave came and it was like, hit me on the head with a hammer. Like, no
demoted.
more. Yeah, demoted.
Back to kid.
Exactly. I had to be a kid again. Which, growing up with a single mom who was working a lot with 2 younger siblings, I did take initiative a lot. And I think that's what brought in the type 1, the perfectionist and the control freak in me, was knowing that there were 2 younger siblings that, even though we did have a nanny, not like you were absent from our life or anything, Mom, but knowing that there were 2 younger siblings, I kind of had to step it up a little bit and play mom sometimes. And so knowing that Mom was going to work, but yet Dave was staying home, working from home, it was like he got to play mom now. And I was like, that's my role. No, you can't take that from me. So I think that was probably the biggest issue. And me and my dad butted heads a lot too. So I think it was just kind of a thing with a man just trying to submit myself to him. It's probably the hardest part.
Submit to a dad.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Somebody else in charge.
To a dad figure, yeah.
Yeah. When do you think that changed for you? When did you start warming up to the idea?
Man, I think it was probably whenever we moved into this house.
Okay.
That was a little bit of time, but yeah.
Yeah, so it took you about a year and a half.
Mm-hmm. To fully realize, like, okay, he's here. Like, this is our life now. There's no way I can get out of it. Yeah. I think the first time I realized, like, this is good on everyone's end, was something had happened with me and I cried because I was a silly teenage girl and I cried and Dave hugged me and he never hugged me before.
When was that?
I think it was 2016, 15 or 16.
Because you didn't want to be hugged.
No, I didn't. But he still did.
And that helped you?
Yeah, it did.
How'd that make you feel?
Accepted. Accepted in a lot of ways that, a void that a mom can't fill, or a dad who was never there couldn't fill, or even like a pastor couldn't fill, but Dave did.
So you weren't really raised with your dad.
Right.
And so you kind of really didn't know what a dad was like or what it was like to live with the dad.
Really even just like a healthy father figure.
So describe a father.
I'm going to cry again.
It's okay.
I love when Dave brought me flowers to my performances. Because Mom could have. She didn't. But like it wasn't like something I needed or anything. And I just got used to not receiving flowers. And it wasn't a big deal for me. But I remember one of my first performances with Dave in our life. He did. And it took me by surprise. And that was one of the first moments I knew, like, he really wants to be here. Like, he didn't marry just Mom. Like, when he married you, he, in a weird way, kind of married all of us.
Yes.
I think another thing about just a father in general is that they're there. They're present. They're making the decisions, the good decisions. They're not, whenever they are around their children, they're smart with what they say most of the time.
They give good advice.
They do. They give good advice, even if I don't want it sometimes. And they're very forgiving.
So you're glad that Dave and I got married?
Well, yeah. Do you not see these real tears, woman?
Real tears. So for Thanksgiving this week, we have a lot to be thankful for, don't we?
Yes.
Yes.
Way too much.
Okay, so Molly, for people that are listening right now, let's say there's a single mom out there and she has kids and she is wanting to date or is dating somebody. So as a kid, what kind of advice would you give that mom so she knows how to talk to her kids about dating?
I would say moms, choose wisely who you decide to bring around your children, because those relationships at that young age could be what make or break that child. Those relationships at that kind of age are ones they're going to remember forever, and you want them to be positive ones.
And you want them to be ones that are going to be around.
Yeah.
So that kids don't feel maybe abandoned or rejected.
Yeah. Because
if they were to break up,
that could go a long way. That buildup of things that were never spoken about, or that hurt and that pain, can go a long way.
So you think it's a good idea for moms who are dating to not let their kids know right away?
Unless it's serious.
Unless you know that that's the one.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, moms, you heard it from the kid.
Mm-hmm.
Dave, what advice would you have for men who are dating? What advice would you have for men who are dating women with kids? Because I was a woman with kids.
When I was single, I really never went around thinking specifically whether I wanted to date a woman with children or not. I spent a lot of years having to be at a distance from my own children. And so I was prepared to be a father, and not in the sense that, and this is probably the thing, guys, you're not involved simply with a woman. You're involved with a family, and you can't take that lightly. Whether you like it or not, you're going to be a father to those children. And what that is responsibility, but it's not something that you can demand. It's just a job that you have to do regardless.
That makes me think of something else I want to add real quick before we finish. And that is about something I felt very strongly about when you and I got married, when it came to the kids. And I remember thinking about the word stepdad. And names bring identity. And I never really wanted to think of you or call you
Wow. Step bad. Or step back.
That's your new rapper name.
Ew. Why does he have to be a rapper?
So I never wanted to really think of you as a stepdad, because to me, a stepdad, it sounds like a broken, like it isn't a fullness of being dad. And I felt like it was very important for you to have a dad role in their lives, in how you cared for them and disciplined them and nurtured them, that it was a whole relationship and not something that sounded broken. And that was a very difficult thing for me to take my children and call them our children. Like, our children sounded great to say our children, but what that meant was I had to give them to you.
Yeah.
Right.
And you were their dad. And so I used to say, my kids have two dads.
Right. And part of what you're saying kind of does speak to or explain better what I was really trying to say when you asked me that question. I didn't want to think of myself as a stepdad in the sense that I didn't want to give myself a place to shirk responsibility.
Right.
And that's part of what I mean about being prepared to do what you've got to do without demanding the things that a dad who spent his whole life with these children would already have.
Yeah.
But in our situation, we didn't have that. And to add on, 13, 14, 15, 16-year-old Molly didn't understand why I couldn't call him stepdad. So really it wasn't until recently, just to add this on, that I started. I don't even know if I really even say like my dad. I do if people are talking to me about him.
Yeah.
But I a lot of times say my parents.
Right.
So even from a kid's perspective, it can be challenging too.
Well, and I think sometimes that is maybe it's easier to say stepdad because if you say dad, you feel like you're being disloyal to your natural dad.
Oh no. For me, it was like it was like accepting, like there's just a lot of emotion. You see it in the movies all the time when like the adult starts calling his dad by his first name. And then like at the end of the movie, he's like, I love you, Dad. And then the music rises and everyone starts crying. I was not about emotions. So for me, it was like an emotional attachment. I didn't want the emotions with it.
You didn't want the emotions attached with the name Dad. Mm-hmm. So, but you're good with it now.
I am.
Yeah. That actually makes a lot of sense, Molly.
Yeah.
I'm glad you shared that.
You're welcome.
Well, happy Thanksgiving to everybody from our family to yours. Well, folks, that was a little more emotional than I thought it was going to be. What a special conversation to have with Dave and Molly for Thanksgiving week. My heart is full hearing my family share a little of our story. Whether you are single with kids, or have married someone with kids, I want you to know we've walked that road and we have experienced the journey. Sometimes the road leads through dark valleys, and sometimes along the way there is a storm. But if you guys will commit to holding hands and walking through it together, just like our family of M's, you'll be okay. If we're not connected yet on social media, let's be friends. You can find me on Instagram or Facebook under the name Melissa Mathieson. That's math, like 4 + 1 = 5, I before E, son, S-O-N, as in my 17-year-old son who surprised me with a case of my favorite sparkly water last night just because he loves me. Friends, happy Thanksgiving, and I hope you are enjoying time with your friends and family, being thankful for all the moments we share, even the difficult ones. Plan to join us again on Monday as we sit around the table, have a cup of coffee, and talk about what's next, God.